Welcome in. It's Rob Breaux Show. Live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Hey, if you're on Twitter and Facebook, move on over to YouTube. That's where the party's at. You can comment there. I'll be able to see the comments. If not, you can stay on Twitter. You can stay on Facebook, wherever you are. We'll be there. I think you can actually comment on Facebook too. Twitter, you can't comment. You can comment, but it just goes into the ether. I don't know what's happening. If you're on YouTube, welcome. Go ahead and smash that like button. Comment your comments, your questions, your concerns, whatever it is. Tucker, shout out to Tucker. Shout out to Ryan, already commenting. This is the earliest Tucker's ever been here. Can confirm. Those 9 a.m. shows were dicey for all three of us at points in that tenure. The 11 a.m. show, a little bit easier to get to. Lots of things to get to today. It is Power Ranking Wednesday. We'll power rank the Big 12 baseball world. We'll power rank great defensive third baseman in honor of Josh Jung, who had a great defensive play last night. We'll also power rank movies featuring down-and-out adults coaching up kids. Watched School of Rock last night, and that was, well, I guess it was inspiration. So we'll move on to power ranking those as well. We'll talk about the Matador Club and Texas Tech baseball and the Magnificent Seven abandoning hope, which I don't think they are. But Ross Dellinger wrote an article last night saying they were. I don't think they are, but he said they were. We'll get to that last. We'll start with some power rankings. Big 12 baseball. This is the clearest the power rankings have been all year. Obviously, the later you get into Big 12 play, the crisper the picture is. The more you get into it, the clearer everything becomes. And this is very clear. West Virginia is the best team in the Big 12 in 2023. Oklahoma State right behind them. Then you have Texas. Now, you can clear up some things with Texas and West Virginia this weekend. Maybe second place, but I think West Virginia, even if they lose to Texas this weekend, is the best team in the Big 12. I think J.J. Weatherholt is a lock for player of the year. I think Traxel's pretty well locked into pitcher of the year. I mean, it is what it is. The West Virginia is really good. Steven Stevens says, have a day in Vegas. Absolutely. Have a day in Vegas. You and the nerd. Shout out. So West Virginia, Oklahoma State, Texas, and then Kansas State, Texas Tech, and TCU would be that next tier. And I think it's pretty well defined. Kansas State, Texas Tech, TCU. When you have those tiers, you kind of say boom, boom, boom. And then you kind of put them through. And Kansas State beat Texas Tech beat TCU. Just kind of from my biased opinion, that's how it would line out. And then finally, Oklahoma, Kansas, Baylor, all bad. There's a set of scenarios where you can get a six-way tie for second place. Yes, I have those up. Or I don't anymore. But TCU, Texas, Oklahoma State and Oklahoma, and Texas Tech can all tie for second, which is unreal when you think about it. Now, none of that matters in the Big 12 tournament because you still get seeded. The most likely seeding for Texas Tech is that 4-5 game at 5. We'll see what happens. I think if we're dreaming this weekend, let's just dream. Let's just say West Virginia just puts Texas out of their misery and sweeps Texas. Then you have Kansas State goes out and beats TCU 2 out of 3 or sweeps them. Texas Tech sweeps Kansas. Oklahoma State just stay in front of Texas Tech and sweep Oklahoma. I think that lines you up for the best option. Now, the Big 12 tournament is odd in that I think the 4-5 game starts first. Now, weather will not be an issue this weekend. The sunshine, the rain, nothing will be any different. You'll just play the games. They'll put the roof up. You'll play all the games. Nothing will matter. It'll all be on schedule unless somebody has an extra inning game, which is why it's awesome that it's at Arlington. When you're down there in Oklahoma City and there's a rain cloud and you have to take a 30-minute delay, you're delaying everyone. You're delaying 5 games in a day, 4 games in a day, whatever it is. By the way, shout out to Baylor. Baylor playing outside the conference this weekend. No chance to get back in contention. Already a game behind Kansas. Even if Kansas gets swept, they are out. But I do think that the Big 12 tournament will, let's say, matter this year. I don't know if matter is the right word, especially for Texas Tech, because you have to take care of business in the regular season. And if you've listened to my shows for any number of years, you know what I feel about conference tournaments. They're a sham. They hardly ever affect anything. And even when you feel like they affect something, it probably was just that way before the conference tournament. Now, I have been pretty adamant that Texas Tech needs to win 40 games, and you can't do that in the regular season because of where you are schedule-wise, or at least where you are in your you just that's mathematically impossible. But if you could go sweep Kansas and win a couple, 2, 2 games and get to 40, I think you're locked in. If you lose 1 to Kansas and you lose 2 at the Big 12 tournament, you're not out because you lost 2 at the Big 12 tournament. You lost in the regular season. Now, I would be pretty nervous if you went 2 and Q after losing 1 to Kansas about a regional berth. If you win 2 against Kansas and win 1 or 2 in the Big 12 tournament, I'd feel pretty confident that you're in the regional tournament. But it is a bit of a fine line. A quick power ranking of the Rangers pitchers this year. Eovaldi, Dunning don't matter. I thought you were going to say DeGrom. Then don't matter. Of course, DeGrom needs to get healthy again. Power ranking the best defensive or your favorite defensive third baseman. Ryan says Nolan Arenado, Nolan Arenado, Nolan Arenado. Currently, there is only one great defensive third baseman. Nolan Arenado. I think he has like 6 or 7 Golden Gloves in a row. But Josh Jung last night, stick side save, goes down bare hands, grabs, throws to first on the run, running diagonal away from first base toward the line. Just an incredible play. And we do see Nolan Arenado make those plays a lot. But it's really fun seeing Josh Young make 'em. We saw him make them at Texas Tech. Could he make them in the pros? Does he have enough power in the pros? He's proved both. It's been awesome to watch. My third baseman, Brooks Robinson, the GOAT. Nolan Arenado, number 2. Eric Chavez from the Moneyball A's. Beltray, Roland, and then Josh Young. Honorable mention because I think he'll be there in the I think he'll win some Gold Gloves. Doritos and Fritos are just corn tortillas. Thoughts? Well, I think Fritos are corn tortillas. Are Doritos corn-based chips? I have no idea on that. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right there. I don't know that you're breaking any ground there, Jimmy. I think that's pretty well established. A Frito is a thick corn tortilla fried. So, all right, next power ranking. Movies featuring a down and out adult coaching up kids. I watched School of Rock yesterday. So I'm gonna go Mighty Ducks, School of Rock, Bad News Bears, Hardball. Gotta pay off those gambling debts. And Mean Green. I like it when you call me Big Papa. Throw your hands in the air if you're a true player. I'll still cry when G Baby dies, by the way. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. Get another one, Hardball, Bad News Bears, Kicking and Screaming. Kicking and Screaming, I don't know that I've ever seen that. That's Will Smith or Will Smith. A different movie with Will Smith. Will Ferrell and, Mike Ditka. Ditka. That'd be an interesting to watch again. I mean, I've seen it, but I don't remember it as much. Mighty Ducks, Little Giants, The Rookie, R.I.P. G Baby. I agree, man. Pouring out for G Baby. The Rookie. The Rookie with Dennis Quaid. Who does that? Who is that? I mean, that's yeah. Then he goes off on his own. I like that. It's kind of down and out kids too, which it normally is. Little Giants is one of the greatest movies of all time. I can't believe I snubbed Little Giants on my list. Little Giants would absolutely be number one on my list, ahead of Mighty Ducks. Mighty Ducks is great, but Little Giants is the greatest sports movie, if not the second greatest sports movie of all time. I am ashamed. I'm hurt at myself. Little Giants should have been on my list. That's my bad. Yes, Dennis Quaid. I always get Dennis Quaid and, the other guy, Kevin Costner, confused. If you had me list if you just went off Kevin Costner and Dennis Quaid movies and you were just telling me and I had to guess which one was the lead actor, I would say, the opposite on a bunch of them. They're the same person to me. Dennis Quaid and Kevin Costner. Little Giants is so good. Danny O'Shea, the Icebox, the annexation of Puerto Rico. Our worsts are the best. The bratwurst people. You rang. Can you tell what I had for lunch? So good. Puffs. What a wimp. The Matador Club is paying for the Texas Tech baseball team. And I couldn't tell if this was the continuation of this year. If they're going to pay him this year. The reporting was a little unclear to me, but for sure next year, the baseball team will be getting a no, not a six-figure deal, a five-figure deal. I believe it's less than the football team, but still a considerable amount for the fall semester, spring semester. Get a little cash in there. And I believe the Matador Club finished the women's basketball team payments. They already have a deal with the softball team, the baseball team, and the football team. I would assume within the next 2 years, the Matador Club will be for all the major sports doing this. And then in the next 5 years, I think you'll have something available to every sport on campus. Now, will it all be the 25 Gs that the football team gets? No, it won't. But if you could be a golfer and get an extra 5 grand for a spring, are you going to complain about that? I wouldn't. Now, certainly you're not getting as much as the football player who's a walk-on, but if you're Ludwig Aberg, I mean, you could go sign with the Live next year if you want the money. But it's not about the money to everybody. But certainly if you're playing amateur golf, you can get some kind of NIL deal, and I think the Matador Club is on its way to providing that for every every sport on campus. And I think that's how it should be. The men's basketball team this year, I thought, was a little unorganized in their NIL capabilities. I liked how they did it. I certainly appreciate the guys who went out and got that done, but the issues inside that locker room were not because of NIL, but the NIL issues added to Mark Adams' issues, and it wouldn't have been that way if it was the Matador Club. Again, I think a lot of that is on Mark Adams. Yes, if you notice the hat, I called this a gas station hat when it came out, that it looks like you could just buy it from a gas station. But it was a birthday gift, and I will relish it. Cherish it? Maybe both. Maybe both. Defensive third baseman, power ranking, Brooks Robinson, Buddy Bell, Mike Schmidt, Nolan Arenado. Great list. Brooks Robinson, the GOAT. I think he had 17 gold gloves, something outrageous like that. But I do think the Matador Club will end up paying every single sport on campus. Let's give it 5. And that helps, to me, everything. It helps recruiting because when people talk about NIL and Matador Club, it's only 25 grand. What are you doing? Well, that's the tip of the spear. That's the tip of the iceberg. You could go out and get any deal you want, any car you want. You just have to go out and do the legwork or get an agent that can go out and do the legwork, which is what some of these local businesses are doing, the Dark Horse, the Level 13s. You can, sign over your NIL and move in and move along. Emmanuel Okoye headed to Tennessee. I guess he committed today, according to a commenter. Tech was top 3 for him. Yeah, that's man. So Tennessee was recruiting him, I believe, as a tight end. Texas Tech recruiting me as an edge rusher. And I would have looked at that kid and said, hey, man, if you want to go to the NFL, you want to go to the NFL as an edge rusher and not a tight end. Tight ends don't make as much money. Tight ends don't make the glory. There are 2 positions in the NFL, quarterback, edge rusher. Everything else is just filling out the field. And by the way, Tyree Wilson, Von Miller, Kayvon Thibodeau, all coached by one man, and that man is in the Texas Tech locker room coaching players at Texas Tech. Ryan says transfer portal edition confirmed after next season. He might come home. Bring him home, baby. Bring him home. All right. Now, that's just a commitment. He's in the 2024 class, I believe, right? And a lot of time to fix that. I just want to say one final time, I think the Matador Club is doing NIL right. And I hope that they are, within 5 years, doing every single sport on campus. All right, let's move on to Ross Dellinger's piece on the Magnificent Seven. They are giving up hope, it seems like. The headline, ACC's growing revenue gap sparks frank discussions between schools. This is in reference to their 2 days of ACC spring meetings, where 7 of the schools had their own meetings. The first meeting went 70 minutes over time, and when finished, administrators and Commissioner Jim Phillips hurriedly left the room and walked past reporters with heads down and little in the way of comment beyond a quip about needing to get dinner and an agreement they made before breaking the day, according to a source. It goes on to say that over the last several months, 7 conference members coalesced over the situation, their officials meeting together and examining options to potentially exit or dissolve the league and break the grant of rights, a movement detailed in Monday's SI story. from Ross Dellinger. Inside meetings this week, administrators acknowledged the situation with the seven, and the issue was discussed among officials, many of whom were not aware of the movement of their seven fellow members. Those seven schools: Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina, Miami, North Carolina State, Virginia, and Virginia Tech, are not expected to continue any group meetings or pursue a group exit. Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? Not going to continue planning an escape. The ACC was in a great spot 3 years ago. They're number 2. And then they see the Big 12 lose Oklahoma and Texas and make as much money as them. The Big 10 signs a $100 million deal in 5 years or whatever that rate is increased. The SEC signing $70 million deals. They're stuck at 36 for 10 more years. Of course they want to abandon. They don't want to kill the ACC. They want to kill their grant of rights. And if you are the ESPNs of the world and you already have them at $36 million, you're not going to say, well, we can just make it 70. You have to kill the grant of rights and renegotiate. How do you do that? You agree as a conference that you're getting screwed. And the ACC is. It's just plain a fact. Or they're getting a fair rate and the SEC and the Big 10 are getting overpaid, which I believe, and I do think that ESPN is already regretting some of those deals, or at least regretting that Fox made that dumb deal with the Big 10. Notice how quickly they got Kevin Warren out of college sports. They're like, hey, man, you're too good at this. You are way too good at this. You're making it too professional. You're getting too many things done. You got to go, buddy. You got to go. But now that the rest of the schools know that 7 of the schools want to kill the grant of rights, why would they stop? Why would they not all just join in? The ACC is getting left behind. The ACC, because they're stuck together for 10 more years, is going to be left behind. Now, if somebody does leave, why would Clemson be accepted into the SEC by ESPN? Why would ESPN allow that to happen? What I think happens is some school jumping ship to the Big 10, but I don't know who that is. I would love for Miami to jump ship to the Big 12. But what I think really is happening here in the ACC is not that they want to get to these other conferences. They just want to be paid like the other conferences. I don't think the ACC wants to leave the ACC. I think the ACC wants to be paid like they're the ACC, which is the third best conference in their opinion. They're not making moves like the Big 12. Now, they have a new commissioner, or a fairly recently new commissioner. But he just settled into a warm bed and has not made any aggressive moves. He can't because he can't break the grant of rights. I do not think that this is over with the ACC, but in my opinion, I don't think they're trying to get out of the ACC except for maybe Clemson. Clemson has a home, I guess, in the SEC, but if you're the SEC, why would you want Clemson? They were good for 5 years. If they're not good this year, if they're not in the playoff, Clemson is done as an SEC target. Dabo just had a run, but they are not a historically great team or program. All right. If anybody else has any power rankings, get them in now. I think we're going to wrap up the show here. Comment down below your power rankings for the day. Power rank your third baseman. Power rank your movies. Power rank anything else. Once big boy money, the ACC. Limited exposure for sure. Yeah, The ACC wants money, but they're stuck. The SEC already has South Carolina. Yeah, they don't need Clemson. I mean, I guess if the SEC was going to get a school, like, but why even get Florida State? They have Florida. The If the SEC expands, I don't know. I don't know. Alan. Dabo is just Bible study Bob Stoops. I just don't know, again, how big do these conferences wanna be? Do they wanna get to 20? If the SEC wants to get to 20, who helps? Clemson doesn't help. Duke and North Carolina? I don't know. Do they feel like they own Florida with Florida? I just don't know. These grant of right deals are like quarterback contracts. Mahomes is a bargain in the NFL. Yeah, I don't know that the Big Ten will ever feel that way, but certainly there for a while, it absolutely was like that. The next one's gonna be bigger than the last one. If the SEC doesn't want them, the Big 12 better jump on them, would much rather take from the ACC than the Pac. I think you'll take from both. And again, how big do you wanna get? You wanna be 20 teams? 'Cause you can take 4 ACC if they break up. Again, I don't think the ACC is scattering as much as just regrouping and saying, "Hey, we gotta break this grant of rights. It's dog crap. We need a better one." I don't think the ACC is trying to break up as much as trying to break into the money. They're trying to get into Fort Knox, but they're in such a bad position. And maybe they're trying to overthrow Jim Phillips and trying to get a Brett Yormark in there. Not Brett Yormark, but a Brett Yormark. The SEC could add North Carolina and Virginia as cannon fodder. Yeah, and if they want to add 4, they could add Virginia Tech and Virginia and North Carolina and Duke. Power ranking my expansion targets: Pitt, Arizona, Virginia Tech, Colorado. I would love Pitt and Virginia Tech to finally give West Virginia some people to talk about and talk to. Arizona's my number 1 from the Pac-12. If I had 4, if I could only add 4, Arizona, then I would go all I mean, I would go Clemson, Miami, and Pitt. That would be great for me. And I would love to stay at 16. I don't need any more. I don't when you get to 20 teams in a conference, it's just 2 conferences and you never play anybody on the other side. I like playing everyone, and you're really not even doing it here. I mean, at some point, I think the ACC needs to stay together is what I'm saying. Because if you're careening toward a new NCAA, it just works better with 4 conferences. And if that's the Pac-12 that kind of does an undertaker and raises back up, or if it's the ACC that stays together, I think it makes more sense to have the Big 10 and the Big 12 working together and the SEC and the ACC working together and everybody meeting in a 16-team playoff at the end. With 80 teams, and it's the new NCAA, Power 4, and FU and F Baylor and F them and FB, and you're moving on from everybody else. All right, that's the Rob Bro Show. I'll be Rob Bro. I've been Rob Bro. We'll see you tomorrow.